Hello, I'm Ollie Collins, and in this video I'm going to show you how to comply with fire regulations in your HMOs so that you can become fully compliant. We run a HMO specific letting agency, and these are standards that we have complied with our own HMOs as well as for clients too. Okay, so it's always a good idea to check with your local council's standards. So let's pick Crawley and Sutton as two examples. So each council should have their own standards document. So always check this first. It will provide, I won't go into this in this video because we're going to touch on fire only, but this will go through every aspect that your council, like amenity standards, all that sort of stuff, that they expect. And it's always a great idea to contact your HMO housing officer as well, just to discuss things through. Crawley compared to Sutton, as an example, Sutton has a lot more regulations here. They're a lot more stricter, I guess, and they've got their own little fire section at the back of that. So always make sure you find that document first. Okay, and then the document that I want to discuss today is the LACORS Housing Fire Safety Guidance. What we're going to discuss is, if I show you here, these are the different categories within this document. Shared houses, as an example, would be, say, a 5-bedroom house, student accommodation, all 5 housemates are on one AST, and a bedsit type HMO is where, say, in a 5-bed house, the housemates are all on individual AST. So we're going to discuss this one, as typically houses that we manage are bedsit type HMOs. So if we go down to page 43, it will give you a description here of the bedsit, what they are, and what I want to do is I just want to go through the document and touch on the different aspects within a 2-story bedsit type HMO, and then we'll go into 3-story and show you the slight differences there. So escape routes, an escape route, I've got notes here as well. Escape route is typically the stairway, hallway, landing and lobby. So if you look on the screen here, you've got this as the escape route. You've got to have a 30-minute protected route. However, there are some discrepancy, which you can see in note 9 down here. That is not, it's ideal. That's the ideal option. However, in a 2-story normal risk HMO, a normal risk HMO being that you've got no one of any disabilities and they're able-bodied, etc. You can have, if windows fully open, they would make a slight allowance, but again, you've got to check that. What we like to do in our HMOs is we fireboard the stairways nonetheless, and we do put fire doors on all the bedroom doors, along with intermittent strips, and yeah, along with smoke alarms. We'll come to that. So escape routes, and these, what I'm going to touch through, these are different areas that you need to get your HMO to comply with. Fire separation, so basically that's in between, like having fireboards between the floorboards and the walls. In a 2-story HMO, there's no additional fire separation needed between units, but they should be of sound traditional construction. Right, fire alarms, and this is where people get confused, and you've got to know your stuff. In a 2-story HMO, you need a grade D LD2 system, and I'll show you up above in a minute the different fire alarm systems, but these are basically interlinked main smoke alarms with battery backup as well, and that's got to be located throughout the escape route. If you've got cooking facilities within the bedsits, you'll need different things there. Let's say you don't, and they're just in the shared kitchen, you'll need an interlinked smoke alarm in each bedsit. So you've not only got them on the escape route, you need them in the bedrooms as well. The kitchen will need a heat alarm, not a smoke alarm. And then any sort of cellar will need a smoke alarm as well. So let me show you the explanation of fire alarms. And we go up to paragraph 22. So everywhere it will say, so if you see here on this page, 24, you've got the different grades here. So we're looking not at grade A, B, we're looking at D. So D is a system of 1 or more mains power smoke or heat alarms with integral battery standby supply. So it will tell you what you need. There is no control panel with grade Ds. As we go on to 3 stories, you're going to need a grade A which does have a what's it called? Control panel. It will tell you mixed grade systems here, and here's your coverage as well. So we needed LD2. A system incorporating detectors in all circulation spaces that form part of the escape route from the dwelling and in all rooms or areas that present a high fire risk to occupants, i.e. risk rooms. Risk rooms could be bedrooms that are right next to kitchens, for an example, as typically fires would be they would start in a kitchen as a typical example. And then it will say sort of down here what the different types. If you look at we're not doing shared houses, so you come down to a bed sit of 2 stories with individual cooking facilities within it, you'll need grade D, blah, blah, blah. But if we go down to 3 to 6 stories, you'll see that you need grade A. So let's get back to the guide. Okay, here we are. So yeah, you really got to know your fire detection and alarm systems, and typically they'll, a grade D LD2 system will need check-in every. There's maintenance to do as well, which I'll touch on down here, but they will need every 4 weeks. You need to test that they work, and you need to leave a fire log as well at the property, as well as having a main one that you keep records of as well. And then annually they're going to need testing. A grade A system will need it done every week, and every 6 months they'll need testing as well. So you've got to know all of this. If you're doing a HMO, this is what you've got to know. Lighting of escape routes. So emergency escape lighting is required only if the route is long or complex, or where there's no effective borrowed light. Conventional artificial lighting is required. In our HMOs, and what we advise our clients as well, we put emergency lighting in there anyway, because if it's nighttime, there's a fire and there's a power cut, it could be difficult to see. So we just think it's a good precaution to put in there, not greatly expensive either. But the guides say that they don't need it, but I'll check with your council as well. Everything I say in this guide, check with your council, but this is the national standard. Firefighting equipment. A fire blanket is to be provided in each bedsit with cooking facilities and in shared kitchens, so make sure you've got a fire blanket in the kitchen. And a simple multi-purpose extinguisher on each floor in the common parts is recommended. So I know there's mixed reviews on that. Some people don't like to put fire extinguishers in there. One, because tenants could sort of, especially in student HMOs, they can spray it and cause a mess. They also have their own maintenance cycle that they need, and they need checks as well. So it's really down to you. We personally don't put them in our HMOs because we classify our HMOs as low risk. But again, check with your council, and that sits with what you want to do. Fire safety signage. Again, if the escape route is complex and you need it, in a house, people know that they're typically going to go down the stairs and out the front door, so it's not really necessary. We have put signage in one HMO, and we didn't in another HMO that we've done, simply because it can make it look very, not homely, and very institutional. So, bear that in mind. Surface finishes and floor coverings. So this is basically, if you scroll up to paragraph 28 and 29, there is some good tips on this. So you've got up here surface finishes. So where is it? Yeah, you can read this paragraph here. It really goes into detail on these pages, what they're sort of saying, the sort of combustible materials used in a house, and the same with floor coverings. It's basically the carpets, 80% wool, 20% synthetic fibre, 80-20 carpet. Yeah, you can have a good read of that. You need to understand all of that. Let's get back up here. So, yeah, 2 stories. Okay, management and maintenance of fire safety. This is what I was talking about a minute ago. So if I flip to my little guide on this side, I've made some notes. So yeah, that's doing your monthly checks, making sure that the escape routes are free from any obstruction. So you're walking around the property, you're making sure tenants aren't leaving massive boxes outside that would impinge getting out in case of a fire. There's no flammable items, like even loose paper and letters building up. That's, you know, a source of ignition. You want to make sure that there's no candles knocking around, that sort of stuff. Checking that fire doors work properly. They're not being propped open, there's no damage to them, they close by themselves, obviously, because you want the intermittent strips to work. So you're basically going around the property and you're doing your checks. So what we do at VCC Homes is that I go around and I do a communal area inspection and external inspection, and I'll detail all of this in a report, as well as the fire safety logbook that I do, which tests the emergency lighting, the fire alarms, and all that sort of stuff, and I make sure that I tick again on both documents that I've checked these fire routes and everything's working as should be. Yeah, and checking fire blankets and all that sort of stuff, and the artificial lighting, yeah, which I've covered. So yeah, so that's within this book. Also, it says, which, you know, you've got to make sure that when you're kitting out a HMO, that all your furniture, as you need to furnish the property, is compliant with any like furniture and furnishing regulations, which basically all furniture needs to comply with the fire resistant requirements. So you normally get a fire tag on the furniture. So a good little tip is that obviously you don't want to keep that on there, but take a picture of the furniture with that and keep hold of the tags just in case you need them for future. So I said, yeah. Basement and cellars, actually. There's a bit in the guide up above which says that if you're using a cellar or if you're not using a cellar, there's different requirements. So you're going to need that fire separation. So the seat from the cellar to the first floor, you're going to need your fireboarding to make sure that if there's a fire that starts in the cellar, you've got protection there, as well as a staircase with fire doors and stuff like that. So read it. You're going to need to put fire alarm in down there as well, smoke alarm as well. So you need to make sure that you understand that. So as you can see, like, we'll go just typically from this picture, fire detection system, grade D, LD2 coverage. So in communal areas such as the escape route, we do one on the upstairs landing and downstairs hallway. So you've got 2 smoke alarms there. We put one in every single bedroom, and then we put a heat alarm in the kitchen as well. We actually have 60-minute, the FD30 means that they're 30-minute fire protection doors. We actually put 60-minute in there with the intermittent strips as well, which is not necessarily needed at the moment because, well, it's just not needed, but we like to go above and beyond just to make sure that our housemates are looked after. And yeah, this basically little sort of helps depict, this picture helps you sort of depict what has been said in this. But moving on to 3 stories, the main difference, like I said, is that fire detection system. You're going to need a grade A system, which means there is more maintenance to happen. You've got to get your letting agent or yourself, if you self-manage, to get around there every week and do the checks there. And as you can see, you actually need some extra fire alarm panels by the front door. They say that you do need extinguishers. And there's even more that you need to do with a 3-story and above HMO. So you really have got to read this document. This is almost the Bible for doing a HMO. Get to grips. You need to know it. Okay, that wraps it up for this video. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you found some value in that. If you'd like any help getting your HMO up to standards, or you'd be interested in our fully managed HMO service or any other service, then please get in contact. I'll put the email address on the screen now, so it should be lettings@vcc-homes.com. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next time.